Welcome back to Power CEOs, the truth behind the business. We are going to shift gears again because, yes, you got it right. We are on the AI moment of the week. It is 2025. Whoop, whoop. What's happening? And we have our resident expert in all things AI, Dr. Alan Badeau. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, Jen. It's great to be here.
Okay, so give us the lowdown because it is 2025. We had some big lessons learned. And what are we carrying forward? What is the future of AI in 2025?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that we saw was really toward the end of the year. If you think about, you started with when AI first was really starting to kick off, you had Google, and everybody thought Google was going to dominate everything, and they had some slip ups, and so did Microsoft, right? They had some slip ups also, and then OpenAI just takes off and launches and really gets something that the others were not able to grasp on. And then all of a sudden, toward the end of the year, you've got what we called the 12 days of Christmas, where OpenAI was releasing pretty much something every single day. But one of the things that we saw as they were doing that, they made Sora, available to the public. And what did it do? It crashed just about everything. And that's a challenge. But then also Google started to, they were releasing their stuff and has, the capabilities that they were showing and the user being the focus of the AI instead of just the AI itself is something you and I have talked about since we've started this. But really, Google is really starting to embrace that. And I think going into 2025, folks are going to start to see that, if you want to use AI, one, you've got to make it really easy for the general public to be able to use, to interface with. And then the other part is that, just building models for the sake of models is going to get to a place that it's just not economically viable. So you've got to think about other things that you're going to do, other ways that you're going to use it, and then really just building out what that portfolio is going to look like, because just releasing models is probably not going to be the thing for the end of 2025. It's going to be that user interaction piece.
Can we dive into that user interaction? I really wanted to talk about this because it's something that keeps coming up, and it's one of the greatest fears in business owners that are rolling out these applications. The fear that I don't know how to do this, the resistance to new technology, and the change management piece. What are you seeing in that enhanced personalization, that enhanced, I'm going to use the word customer experience because it could be B2C, but really the customer experience when the customer is your team internally?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are we going to see in that in 2025?
Yeah, the greatest piece is going to be around, we call it human factors design, right? Is, how are you interfacing with the tool itself? Where are you putting buttons? What's the functionality of those buttons? How many buttons do I have to hit? Do I have to go into 50 different screens in order to get it to give me an answer? That is not what users want. They want it easy. They want to be able to get an answer, and they want to make sure that the answer is correct. So you've got to focus on transparency, making sure that whatever the AI produces, they can understand it and understand it quick. And then you've also got to be able to hit, those milestones that the user wants as they're trying to get those answers. I always try to, when we're designing things, you want to have that in about 5 or 6 clicks, quite honestly, or, types of the keyboard, because beyond that, it gets too complicated. Anything too, easier than that, they may think, oh, this is too easy. It's Mr. Wizard type thing. I don't get to put enough input into it. I can't customize it enough for myself. I don't trust it. And that's the delicate balance. So between 5, 7 clicks, that's where you're really searching for. And as users interface with these things, with these tools, the tools and the numerics really themselves become significantly less important. They don't care if they're, if you, the developer, are using OpenAI's model, or if you're using Claude or Cohere or something else. They don't care about that. They only care about that they're getting the right answer for their problem that they're trying to solve. And so flexibility, being able to use multiple models, having multiple models interacting with each other is significantly more important to the user than what the model is itself. And so that's another big driver that we're going to see.
Yeah, I agree with you with everything that you said. And I immediately then go to the next part, which is the people part. Because you're talking about making it easier for the user, making it more transparent, make it a 5 to 6 click maximum so that they can easily integrate it into their workflow. But the reality is now AI is making us so much more productive, and we've seen some kickback on the, well, what do I do? I'm now overstaffed. How do I manage this? And so what do you think are we're going to see in 2025 on the people side of AI?
Yeah, that's the biggest question that a lot of us have. There are capacity increases that a company are they're going to see, and if they've deployed it the right way, then hopefully they've been able to project. If they would have listened to us and they've gone through the pilots and they've gone through all the test cases and they've gone through the users, then they should be able to predict, my employee X is going to get a 30% capacity increase in his amount of work that he can do. I either need to go bring in more business to keep everybody busier, or I'm going to have to start to reduce the size of my staff. And there's really no specific way that they're going to be able to handle it. It's going to be different for each industry as well. But, and this is a big question mark that all of us have, is that, the long-term viability of these, as it becomes more commoditized, there are going to be cost decreases. Of course, we always see that, but what's that next thing that is going to change it so that it impacts the workflow again? And there are a lot of different technologies. Technology convergence is going to drive some of that. But really, if, like I said, if they've done it the right way, they should have some idea that they need to, rein in costs, or they need to bring in more business, or they have the capacity now to bring in more business, because that was a problem that many of them had, as well. They just were turning down some business because they couldn't handle it, and they didn't want to go on this big hiring spree because it was toward the end of the year. There's a lot of factors with that, but those are just some of the things that we're all paying attention to right now, because we know it's going to hit pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of the same things as well from the business side of things. And then that leads me to my next question. And I think this one really is what we want to know, above and beyond all else. And that's, what can we expect long term? Think beyond 25. I'm getting questions about what happens when AI and robotics that becomes more applicable and at a cost that makes sense for my business, and what do we need to start planning for long term in our like 3 or 5 year plan. I do a lot of work with companies, and we lay out, yeah, we look at our strategic initiatives this year, but what do I need to start thinking about in the 3 to 5 year horizon, and risk mitigate for, or really pay attention to, I guess, because quantum computing, like there's so many things that go into this. So what do you see on your end with regards to the real long-term 3 to 5 year outlook on AI?
Yeah, I think, that's a great question. I think what folks are going to have to start to do is be more creative in the solutions that they're providing, and not be so market focused, meaning I've developed this new tool, this new widget, whatever it is, this new piece of software, and it's so specific that I can't take it anywhere else. And unfortunately, if you look at the past, from software, from data, from engineering, whatever that market is, healthcare, right? That's how these companies were built. They grew, they were happy, they stayed in that market, they dominated that market, and they were good to go. That's not going to be the case anymore. I think if you've got an asset management tool that does healthcare supplies, there's absolutely no reason that you can't use AI to penetrate a new market significantly easier and at a significantly less barrier to entry. And so what it's going to do, it's going to allow more cross-pollination of these other markets that we always thought were on the outside looking in, but that's not going to be the case. And so companies are going to have to start to look at applying their technology to different scenarios, to different markets, and that is going to be their biggest way of growing. They're going to have to look at maybe even going into the government sectors, or some international type work that a lot of folks have been a little leery to get into. But that's going to be it, because what we know is that AI allows you to do it faster. It allows you to do it, more economically most of the time if it's done the right way. And it really allows you to design your systems now so that they can support, really these multivariable problems that, a lot of folks haven't been able to do in the past. And so I think that's going to be the biggest way for them to sustain growth as they go forward.
And we're about to have to break for commercial, but when's the time to get started? Because there's still people on the fence or who haven't even considered this because they think it's, a next year's problem.
Yeah, if next year they may not be in business, quite honestly, because it's moving so fast that you can't afford to lose any market share anyways. But by the end of this year, it could be 50-60% of their market that they may lose, because you don't know what your competitor's doing. You think you do, but you really don't. And if they drop something that's AI enabled and it's going to take off, it's going to go quick. And the train is going to, it's going to hit you, and you're not even going to realize it until it's over.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for your expertise. And if you didn't hear loud and clear, ease of use, what's the easiest thing to integrate? How can we make this simple for our employees, our teams, our consumers to use? And if you're not on the AI train, this is the year to get on the train. Learn about it, get it into your plan for it, fund it, because next year might be too late. With that note, we will be right back after these messages.